Welcome to another episode of The Second Coming, No One to Crucify. Brother T, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you, Jason?
I'm doing very well. So I have it's going to be a different type question than I usually ask, and my question today is about the multiverse and the universe and the aspect of time or the absence of time. And so I know that's probably have to go into Cryon and some other stuff, or I'll let you decide that one. But my question today is really these time dimensions all happening at once. And I guess I'm curious, but I don't have a great understanding of it other than what I've read with some stuff with Deepak Chopra.
Okay. Well, there's 24 hours in a day, and 7 days a week, 365 days in a year, and then there's leap year. But when the sun goes down, it's a good time to sleep. When the sun comes up, it's a good time to hang out, do whatever you're compelled to do. You know, there is, and I want to address the question, but there's nothing at all that we can do about time, except to realize that there are different time constructs. As an example, when you are residing in the upper room, you are in time outside of time. So time is seen differently. On the other side of the veil, when you're not in physical form, the time construct there is extremely different than it is here. But we're not there. We're here. So there's not much I can do about it here, much less there. So we can spend time on it, but I just want to put things in perspective. If I'm spending time on something that I have no influence on whatsoever, and it's not part of my current existence and experience, I have to ask myself, why do I want to spend time on it? Because I'm spending time, my time, focused on something that's not present, then I am not being present. And the only opportunity I have to be in my God space, to be expression of God, is in the present time, because that's the now. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So before we jump in, let's do a little attunement, and let's take a good deep breath. Now you can repeat after me to yourself silently if you care to. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free, I am free, I am free. I have come to the upper room. I am here. I am here. I am here. It will be so. Behold, I make all things new. God is, God is, God is. So now that we are here in the upper room, we are in a space of time outside of time, because we turn within to be in this space, and we connect with our soul, if you will, our true self. I do want to say that there's a little confusion. Well, it had been for me for a long time, and it's taken a while to finally get some clarity on that. But what's the difference between your true self and your soul and your ego self? And then, of course, we can add in the sleeping self. So I do want to address that in one of our conversations here, just to pin that note if you want to, Jason.
Yeah.
As something we can discuss. But when it comes to time, any idea that you can have about some construct of time is possible. All things are possible in God. And if you're having a thought, it's possible. So on some planets, in our multiverse, as you call it, our universe, there are places where you could age 75 years in one day. And there are other places where one day might seem like, just a few hours here or an hour here. So there are different constructs of time throughout the multiverse, throughout the universe. We are engaged in a time construct that is pinned to our solar system. We make one loop around the planet in 24 hours, and our planet is spinning on its axis. So for a few of those hours, we are turned away from the sun, and for the remaining of those hours, we're turned into the sun as we're rotating, our planet's rotating. So that is the construct, the foundation that we've built our time construct system on. If we were on another planet and it took 3 days to get around the sun, we might, have a different construct than it taking a year for our planet to get all the way around the sun, right? So everything is relevant to the physicalness that we find ourselves incarnated in, if that makes any sense. But if I don't attain a level of at least the median level of consciousness of the planet, beginning now and over the next future reincarnations that come into this planet, if I have not attained, I'll speak for myself, if I haven't attained at least a medium level of a medium level of love consciousness, I'll just call it love consciousness. And on the scale of Hawkins, Dr. David Hawkins, Time versus the Power versus Force book, 1996, whatever. It's over there on my bookshelf. He kind of mapped out levels of consciousness on the using kinesiology, and it's really good roadmap to help you see kind of where am I, consciously. But the minimum level there, moving into higher consciousness on the planet, is integrity, and that level of 200, it's log 10. So there's a big difference between 200 and 199, as an example, numerically. But consciously, when you get to that level, you're operating out of integrity, you're willing to be self-honest, and you're operating with courage. When you're below that, you're operating pretty much, that's the realm of fear. So above integrity, you're operating at a level of higher consciousness. And that's important because if you're not at the minimum level, or I'm going to say the mean level, the average level of love consciousness on the planet, then if you're not at least starting to see that you are a part of everything and everything's a part of you, if you don't see at least one other person that you don't see yourself in other words, you see yourself completely isolated and separated from everything. You are separate. You're listening to the ego's song. You will go to shit planet. You're not going to come back to the planet Earth. So what would that mean for the future level of advancement of consciousness for our planet? Given time is a limiting factor here on this beautiful planet, day in and day out, year after year, and how long our body actually, grows and evolves and matures. Time's kind of important to us here. And so if I'm spending my time wisely, I'm working on elevating my consciousness so that as I continue to evolve, at least I can come back here to planet Gaia. That's important, right? I don't want to go to shit planet. It's not going to be fun on shit planet. It's just going to be harder to move through the levels of fear to get to the point of integrity. And so harsher environment is what Spirit has determined is required to help push people along, nudge people along, pull people along into self-awareness. But I think everyone that's listening to our conversation is probably not worried about that too much.
I love that. So when we reincarnate, do we always come back to planet Earth? Or, I
No?
mean, is there a point? I've heard you talk about getting off the planet. Would you just become in the spirit world, or would you incarnate on a different um, universe or dimension?
If you attain enlightenment, I'm going to say when you attain the fifth dimensional level of consciousness, you can attain the six levels of consciousness on this planet. Most people are operating at the third dimensional construct. When we get to the point of integrity, we're beginning to operate in the fourth dimensional construct. We're beginning to see that there's somebody else in the world, that we see ourselves in that person. We begin to love someone else, right? We begin to love them as we love ourselves. We begin to, as Jesus said, love your brother and sister as yourself. That's a very high level of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
That's fourth dimension. Fifth dimension, you're getting into the channel level consciousness, where you're actually in the upper room and you're having conversation, dialogue with your true self, okay? Once you've attained that level of consciousness, and the last level I'll talk about is sixth dimensional consciousness, in the map of consciousness, we would call that mystic consciousness. The ego's pretty much in the back seat. It still knows what your password is to your checking account on your computer, maybe. It's useful, and it's not denied. It's not hated, or, it doesn't dissolve completely. Your personality is an aspect of you. Always will be while you're here in form. But when you attain mystic level consciousness, which honestly that's what I am aspiring to, then you become God informed. This is Jesus, if you will. He attained sixth dimensional construct of consciousness. And again, he explained it to his disciples as, when you see me, you see the Father. So in other words, he knew that it was his Christ divine nature that was expressing in form. His ego had become assumed by that self, his true self, and so it was kind of in the background and called on when it was needed. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a map there of the primary dimensional thought system. You can tie it to the levels of consciousness that David Hawkins put forth through his work with kinesiology. But the point of all that is, imagine how much faster we all that are here, incarnating here, will be advancing, evolving consciously. How much faster we'll be evolving when those lower levels of fear are no longer being incarnating here on our planet. And it's creating heaven on earth. That's the second coming. That is what's going on. And Spirit is saying, yeah, its fear has gotten so pervasive on this planet that there are humans that are so ingrained in control and power over their brothers and sisters that they keep saying, oh, when I incarnate this time, I'm gonna be a better person, I'm gonna keep the main thing. I'm gonna start focusing on love. But they come back and they just wreak havoc on the planet. Wars and crime, and just the way we treat each other by seeing each other as separate from ourselves we're creating hell on earth. We have created that, and it is an experience that many of our brothers and sisters today that are beautiful, lovely people are being, abused. Child abuse, sexual abuse, child trafficking, and it's horrible what we're doing. And those people, I'm sorry to say, will not be coming back in their next incarnation. But we're going to continue to incarnate, Jason, until we attain a fifth dimensional level of consciousness.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me now. you kind of broadened what I was reading in the Paul Selig's first book about how, you know, the lower levels actually don't incarnate back on the planet, and they're talking about, you know, this awakening of the planet. The collective consciousness is going to start happening quite rapidly, even in our lifetimes, that
Yeah.
will have a noticeable shift of a higher vibration of love.
Right. Well, you know, up until the turn of the millennium, when Spirit got together with all the, you know, super souls and the archangels, and they all come together and said, well, look, we got to do something because Gaia is going in the wrong direction. The intention is to create more of God. That's what this is about, right? So when you become a mystic, right, when you become a channel and you're allowing yourself to be expressed as Christ consciousness and form, your divine nature is expressing as love, you're not judging, you're seeing God in everything. That's heaven.
Oh, absolutely.
It's when you're seeing God in everything, right? So when you get to that, you know, heaven on earth is what we're experiencing, and it's really fantastic.
Absolutely. And I do know that heaven on earth is what you can make hell on earth also, like you said. But heaven on earth is being present and creating heaven on earth with our brothers and sisters. And
Right, but
I'm
don't
happy
you
to
the way
be
you the way you
joined with you, experiencing this heaven on earth and in being able to share it in our same dimension. So, um,
right, but what are we doing when we're doing this? What is the action? What is the doing action?
I think just being present, right? Just being present and
It's not doing
being
anything.
love.
It's being. There's no doing.
Yeah, just
There's only
being.
being. When you
Yeah.
are, the ego cannot imagine. I mean, when I had my first real connection with my higher self back in 2014 and had a conversation like the one we're having right now, Jason,
Hmm.
with my higher self in my heart and mind, what I came away with was that there was no possibility that no matter how hard I had been studying and working and meditating and praying and trying to be non-judgmental, and no matter how hard I had worked as a personality to become more holy, when I connected with my true self, I was in awe. And now Jesus said we should reserve awe for God, but it's kind of like an awe for God because your true self is the voice for God, is the voice of certainty. It is in union with the thoughts of God, the will of God, etc., etc. So it's so far beyond what I could have even imagined imagining that it rocked my world for years before I finally began to be able to get some balance. And being in conversation with myself now, my true self, is becoming normal. But it's taken me a decade. It's taken me longer than that, actually. Right? So we're not doing something to make ourselves more evolved. The only thing we can do is surrender the egoic thinking mind by saying, shut up, get behind me, say nothing. I'm going to be present and I'm going to connect with my higher self intentionally. Are you there? I'm going to do an attunement. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know how I serve. I am here. I am here. I'm going to see myself in this environment, in this consciousness, in this space of love, and leave the ego down at the bottom of the stairs. So
It,
I just notice in your language a lot of times you're saying, well, I'm going to do this, or we need to do blah blah blah, And it's like it's an if this, then that formula. But that's not the way it works. The only thing that we can do is to just be present and notice God in everything. To no longer deny God. That is an action. That's the creative energy in action. That is word. The energy of the Creator in action. That's you connecting with your higher self and then letting yourself, your higher self, drive the bus, make the decisions, determine the direction of what this day will be about and what you will do this day. And this is the only day. This now, this presence, is the only thing where you can have the opportunity to be your true self. Is right now.
I
Not
love
tomorrow.
that. I
Not
love
next
that.
week. Not after I do a bunch of work. No, it's right now. And all I have to do is just to be present and joined in union with my true self.
I love that. Yeah, and as you are present, do you find yourself, I mean, I always try and be present, but we are in this human body. And so I know today I'm going to go to the grocery store and do this, but you can be present and um and still do like I can smile at the cashier at the grocery store. I can be the voice of love, and um, I can observe God in all things by stepping into nature and going for a walk with the dog and things. Being present and just quieting the mind, I feel is a blessing.
It is, absolutely. And when you join in union, instead of your thinking I can, you're a being I am.
Oh, I like that.
You see the difference?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
catch it? So when I
yeah.
smile at the person at the cash register, it's because I'm looking through the appearance, I'm looking through the clothing, I'm looking through all of it and knowing, connecting because I'm smiling because I see God there.
Mm,
Not because I'm being a nice person.
right.
I can be a nice person and I can learn and I can say, well, but that's the ego saying I'm going to be a nice person and smile. It's no. I look at somebody and look in their eyes and say, I see God in you. The God in me sees the God in you. I am. So when I get to start my day today, I get to wake up every morning and give it over to Spirit and say, what are you going to do today with this body? I'm not planning a damn thing, right?
Mm,
And when I get in the car, my higher self is expecting me to do the driving of the car. But
yeah.
I'm expecting it to do the driving of my day.
I love that. I love that. Um, do you- I know we've talked about this, so and you've talked about the path to enlightenment being difficult when our ego challenges us, and how do we pull ourselves back up? I mean, um, if I get something happens, whether it's a loss of a loved one or if it's anger, and what do you find helpful to kind of like bring you back into being instead of doing?
Well, let's say that you had a magic key in your pocket and somebody gifted it to you and they shared with you, said, take this with you because no matter what situation you're in, if you hold that key in your hand, then it will have an impact and open your heart. And
Mm.
then you can be your natural divine self with no effort whatsoever. Would you take the key? Wouldn't you love to have that key?
And we do have that key, don't we?
You do have that key. And you take that key and you put it in your pocket when you go about your day and you forget that you got the key. And until you reach in your pocket, oh, it's there, you know. I used to carry around a stone, a little small stone, as a touchstone, because every time I'd reach in my pocket, I would take a good deep breath and remember God. No matter what I was doing, it would catch me off guard. And then I finally began to do it often enough that I began to realize I have a key. No matter what situation I'm in, I just reach for my pocket because I got a key there. And as soon as I touch it, as soon as I touch my touchstone, I am at peace because now I'm, boom, catapulted into the upper room. And I'm saying to my spirit, I'm saying to my soul, I'm saying to my higher self, my true self, you are in control. You take the wheel. Show me how to be loving in this situation, regardless of what's going on or who's involved. Whether it's death or war or a battle or a fight or a car accident. No matter what situation you are in, you have attracted it into your experience for you to learn through it to see God in it. Don't forget you have a key. Just reach in your pocket and let it help you remember who you are. Who are you? You're God's perfect creation, made of love for all eternity, neither behind the point of perfection nor advancing toward it. And you must see yourself therefrom. And if all you need is to have a little touchstone in your pocket, or a ring on your finger, or a bracelet, or a necklace, any symbol that you might need as a tool is perfect. Go for it. Go for it. And allow that tool, that reminder, to help you to shift out of the mind of judgment and denial of God into your true self, the mind of love that only sees God in all.
Thank you, Brother T. Thank you for that reminder, and thank you again for sharing your wisdom and taking us on the path with you this morning. And I am so grateful to have you in my life, and so grateful for this community that we get to share your wisdom and God's love with everyone. So thank you, Brother T.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for the love, man. And thank you for the work that you put in to True Thought, to help us here at True Thought, to see the benefit of your work is truly amazing. I mean, to witness your love, bro. You know, you have a beautiful, beautiful heart. And you have I feel your desire to know more and to allow that beautiful voice of love to be your permanent expression.
I love that. So that's all I have for today for questions. And Brother T, thank you for leading us on this episode. And we will see you next week on another episode of The Second Coming.
No one left the crucified. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.